flying saucer. You don't really believe in that stuff, do you?
I take it you don't?
No, I think it's all just a bunch of crazy people howling at the moon.
So, you haven't been out to Lake Okoboji, have you?
No, I haven't. Why?
You should ride with us sometime. You might see some things that change your mind.
He's gone. Thank God.
He's gone.
Rest in peace, Toad.
Can you check that mic?
Check.
Oh.
Check.
Yeah, that'll all work. All right. This is the 192nd episode of Rock
You didn't
Hard
even
Caucus.
say we're recording or anything. You just
we are.
I know you.
Did you need a warning?
No.
Okay.
But yeah.
What am I supposed to
know
say?
that once you say the number of the episode that you're recording.
Oh. Yeah. We are on the record now. Episode 192. We're getting closer and closer to the final episode 200.
Yeah.
We're recording in person.
Yes.
You can tell that the sound is different. It's boomier. There's echoes in this big booming mansion that I live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the mayor of Coralville in his mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
If we're lucky, the bus will drive by while we're recording. Yeah, probably will. We'll probably hear the bus at some point. You may have heard familiar, probably an unfamiliar voice to most of the people hearing it
probably,
at this point,
unless
right?
they pay you money.
And paid us money 4 years ago.
Yeah,
4
a while
years.
ago.
It's been a while since Anastasia's done one of our podcasts, but that's who that is. Welcome back. Well, this is your first time on the
Main
show
pod.
proper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Yeah, it's good to have you. I'm sure that you will provide a valuable and vital perspective to all of the stories that we're about to discuss.
I'll try for some witty commentary.
You're leading the show, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You're in charge.
You've been
here.
recruited to host the podcast now.
Mhm.
We're phasing Justin out. It's just going to
Wait,
be
I'm
gonna
you
be the
hosting.
producer.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
right.
I was
Right.
going to say who's going to edit because I'm not doing that.
No. That's the part that I like.
Okay, good.
I don't want to be on mic
He
anymore.
doesn't like doing the podcast, but he just likes editing it.
Yeah, I just love files and faders and knobs and stuff. That's what I'm in this for, is for the editing process. And I apologize to listeners. My voice probably sounds really bad right now. I'm recovering from a mystery illness. I went to a doctor and they couldn't even tell me what was wrong with me.
Shocker.
Actually, we were talking about this before we were on mic, but maybe it's worth getting into. I don't really ever go to the doctor. Is that a bad thing?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Why? What could the consequences be?
Cancer.
Okay.
Uncaught cancer, I guess.
Right.
I mean, I didn't go to the doctor for a long time, and then I went and got a physical, and I'm fine. But
See, that's the thing.
they don't really. It's not really that. Like they test, they
They're
test
not
your
checking
blood.
for cancer when you get the
yeah.
physical. Yeah.
They didn't even do
Well-
the where they test your testicles for stuff.
So,
I guess I would
so
just,
not the full
You're
body
supposed to do that
scan.
yourself, right?
You are supposed to do it yourself, but I don't know. Maybe things have changed.
You're supposed to touch yourself every day. It's
Yeah.
medical advice.
Yeah, you are. Mhm.
Well, I don't know. They never called me back. I had one liver enzyme that was 1 over. It was literally 1 over the threshold of normal.
Yeah.
And it said on my chart something about it. And then I just never heard back from them about it at all.
Yeah.
So I'm probably fine, right?
Yeah, it's either they determined you're fine or they just got busy with other stuff.
Yeah.
It's
hard
a
to
serious
say.
problem that you're going to live with for the rest
I
of your
mean,
life.
I guess you have to be your own advocate is really
Yeah.
Yeah,
the main
you
thing.
do.
Yeah. When I was at the doctor the other day, it was just an urgent care, not a doctor's office with appointments, regular appointments and stuff. But I waited. It took us I think almost 2 hours to get in. I was in the waiting room for that long, and then they did a like a quick like height and weight thing. She just asked me how tall I was.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
happened to me too.
Well, when you're an adult, they assume you know your height.
Oh, well, that's the problem.
Yeah, why would you know your height?
Yeah,
Kids
what-
know their
what
height
reason do I
because they
have to
have the
know that?
little, notches in the bathroom or the closet door or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
As an adult, you don't do that.
Yeah, I know my height.
Yeah?
Yeah,
How tall are you?
5'5".
Okay, that's what I told the doctor that I was.
Okay.
So are we about the same?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
stand
think we're
up
about the
and
same.
stand
Back
back
to
to back.
But yeah, I didn't have strep throat, didn't have influenza. So,
Just those two. Those are the only two they tested for.
Wait, did
I
they
guess.
COVID?
They didn't give you COVID?
well, I had that already.
Oh,
very
yeah.
recently.
So you're good.
So I probably didn't have it again.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway,
Probably not.
Anyway, I'm never going back.
Yeah.
Never?
They didn't help him.
Under no circumstances?
No, I probably should.
They didn't do anything for him.
I'm almost old enough where like, it's like
Yeah.
like problems will happen more.
Yeah, yeah.
now, right.
What,
I-
age 45 or is it 40? You have to start getting colonoscopies.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think it's
God.
maybe 40.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had chronic health conditions since I was like 6.
So this is like, yeah.
this is mysterious to
It's
me.
crazy that someone would just not go for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can go in and be like, let's get started on the colonoscopies early.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I
You
just
go
have
in
a-
asking
just have a gut
for the
feeling.
colonoscopy.
But the reason, like one of the reasons that I'm so like, I just don't want to deal with it is like later that day, I got a text that was like, hey, here's your $800 bill for going to the doctor. It's like, I have insurance.
Yeah.
This is urgent
That can't be
care.
right.
Yeah, so I haven't heard back since then. We'll see if that $800 bill sticks.
Did you text back and say, "Are you sure?"
No. When I'm contacted about money I owe, I tend to just sort of pretend I didn't.
file it away in
Well,
a
if you
forgotten
acknowledge it, then
cobwebby
it
corner
starts
of your brain.
over. When you acknowledge it, it starts over that like clock for them to be able to collect, right?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like like whatever kind of like predator animals like only see you if you're moving, like sharks or whatever.
Yeah.
So if I just pretend I don't exist, they can't find me to
Yeah.
charge me that $800. Anyway, you want to talk about the news?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not particularly. It's pretty bad right now.
Yeah.
There's plainclothes agents of the state just abducting people off the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of been dominating my thoughts this week. And it's not exactly local news, but it could be. At any moment, this could become like a regular thing here in Iowa too. But the big one was Rumesa Ozturk in Somerville, Massachusetts. So again, not local, but we have friends like very close to there.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it might be enlightening to read a little bit of like the rationale for why she was picked up off the street.
Mm-hmm.
She was here on a student visa, right? She is Turkish, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is just like another of these actions by the federal government where it's like, we're not accusing you of a crime at all. It's just that you've been critical of the U.S. government, and so we can do whatever we want to you. And it feels like they are like intentionally singling out people who like literally are like completely clean cut, like totally
Right.
straight and narrow, not even like a hint of wrongdoing
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
as like a flex. Like, yeah, even the cleanest people, no record of any crimes at all, we can do whatever we want to them and you can't stop us.
Yeah.
Seems to be the challenge
For sure.
right now.
It's definitely trying to chill any sort of further protests on college campuses, like one, and then obviously like the rest of the country as well. Like they do not want people to be protesting.
Yeah.
Well, and focusing on academia, they don't want academics to feel comfortable talking
Right.
about critical of the government subjects.
Right. So, like the only thing that Rumesa Ozturk seems to have done to catch the ire of the Trump administration is she contributed to an op-ed in the Tufts student newspaper last year, which is called Try Again, President Kumar, renewing calls for Tufts to adopt the March 4th TCU Senate resolutions. And, it's basically about Israel-Palestine. The Tufts Community Union Senate passed 3 out of 4 resolutions demanding that the university acknowledge the Palestinian genocide, apologize for university president Sunil Kumar's statements, which I did not check to see what those statements were. Some, I'm sure they were totally tone deaf, university admin, meaningless bullshit.
I can imagine. Yeah, I don't really need to know.
Or maybe they said something about anti-Semitism on campus that was like totally out of, completely unrealistic. Disclose its investments and divest from companies with direct or indirect ties to Israel. So the whole thing here is that the student body was like passing resolutions asking the administration of this university to like give a shit that they're contributing to an ongoing genocide. And that's really the extent of this piece, is just like, hey, we passed these sort of like there's an obligation here. We passed these resolutions and you are like supposed to respond in some significant way, and they just weren't. And that's pretty much the extent of this, is just that's what she did. And now she's, getting picked up off the street by like fucking like 5 or 6 big burly guys in sweatshirts.
Most of them were women. It was like one guy who came up to him, and then there was like 3 other like women, and which is like definitely like a PR thing, because like you don't want to have, because they just like accosted her basically, like because they, whatever her apartment that she lived in, like they had people waiting outside, and then as soon as she came out, like just like run at her basically. But yeah, I'm sure they did that as a PR thing, so it was less.
They could have arranged. You can arrange terminations of visas, and they could have arranged to have her leave the country in a less disturbing and public way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, having that footage come out, which I assume was like independently recorded, like off of a security camera or something. I don't know if I have this pulled up still. Oh, I do, because this is like a sort of recent update to this like more widespread issue. Because our wonderful Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was confirmed, I believe, unanimously by our Congress or the Senate.
No!
Every Republican, every Democrat voted to confirm Marco Rubio as our Secretary.
And people are interviewing Democrats who voted for him, and they're like, "Well, we didn't think he was going to do this kind of stuff." It's like, you are a fucking idiot.
He'll do like whatever he's told.
He's going to be a check on the Trump administration. He's one of the good. He's one of the good Republicans. He's our former colleague.
Right.
He's gonna really put the fucking brakes on the Trump admin. Like, you are a fucking idiot.
He's definitely not just like thirsty for power and attention. Definitely not.
And literally thirsty for water.
Yeah.
If you're,
I do not remember.
That was his reputation like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every time he would be in debates and stuff, he'd be just like nervously drinking a bunch of water.
I think it started because he gave the response to the State of the Union in the Obama era, and he paused in the middle to like loudly gulp water.
Hydration's important.
It is important.
Was he the one who picked up a glass of water with both hands?
I think he might have. I think that might have been him too.
And Trump made fun of him for that.
Yeah.
But basically, like he had that reputation as like, oh, he's a moderate.
Little Marco.
Because he's, I don't know. He maybe said some like not completely xenophobic things about immigrants at some point.
Florida used to be a swing state.
Sure. Yeah. But then, got completely demolished by Trump in the 2016 primaries, and then just became a like. He doesn't stand for anything. He's not.
No,
like,
he's a little worm, like you said, Anastasia.
He's not a brave maverick like John McCain.
Yeah,
right. But yeah, he gave a speech the other day, just sort of bragging about like how powerful he is and the administration is. They've revoked hundreds of student visas this week.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that most weeks.
Yeah. How many even have been issued? I don't know. I didn't look up any stats.
I would assume hundreds of thousands, right?
There's
a lot of students.
There's a lot of international students.
Yeah.
Like across the country.
But he's basically said that they are like taking a closer look at like all the social media activity of like anyone who's here on a student visa, And anything critical of the U.S. government, they will be targeted. And like visa revoked, possibly deported. Actually, I'll read some details here. This is coming from the Times of India, who reported on this, I think just early this morning. Hundreds of international students have just received an email telling them their visas have been revoked. The justification is campus activism or social media posts. The email they got from the U.S. Department of State, so from Marco himself, asking them to self-deport owing to campus activism. Immigration attorneys contacted by the Times of India affirmed this development and added a few Indian students may also be at the receiving end of such emails for something as innocuous as sharing a social media post. And then this is like the actual text of the email. On behalf of the United States Department of State... come on.
Yeah.
United States Department of State. Come on. The Bureau of Consular Affairs Visa Office hereby informs you that additional information became available after your visa was issued. Meaning that you said something. You engaged in protected speech at some point. As a result, your F1 visa with expiration date, whatever, was revoked in accordance with Section 221I of the United States Immigration and Nationality Act, as amended. They did not include the text of what that is. Let me look that up. We should probably know what that is.
I mean, it's a flimsy justification for whatever. I mean, like, it's obviously, like... Well, I don't know. I know there's a bunch of whatever court stuff going on. I know that a federal judge was like, you have to keep this woman in Massachusetts. And they're like, well, she's already in Louisiana. And
whoopsies.
Yeah, whoopsies. I mean, that's like
Whoopsies
literally they're just not complying with any of the orders from any of the federal judges. And it's just like...
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to make them?
Yeah, they're flexing. They're like... choosing to do this in like the most flagrant way possible and just daring anyone to do anything about it. And
most of the federal judges are conservative appointees at this point. So they can just, the few decisions they don't like and the few judges they don't like, they can ignore it and then no problems.
And they're getting rid of any dissenters in the entire legal system, top to bottom.
Yep.
As you can see with Elon Musk spending millions to the court thing in Wisconsin.
Oh, I was about to say.
Oh yeah. He's like giving away. He said he's like giving away $1 million to two like randomly decided people.
He already did one. Last I saw, he already gave $1 million to somebody. It was like a raffle.
He announced it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess do we know that guy got his money?
Well, they didn't. He didn't reveal his full name.
Oh.
I assume because, like, I mean, I would be gunning for that guy. Like,
yeah,
like you took Elon Musk's $1 million. Like, you are the most deserving target. You know, when people win the lottery, they like try to keep it a secret from people because they're afraid.
I mean,
like,
with all the savings from those, you know, you can afford to, funnel money that was going to like 10 federal employees, for their annual salary. You just give it to some guy for your weird lottery, Michigan or Wisconsin. What is it? Is it a Wisconsin Supreme Court thing?
Yeah.
Or
Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find
so fucked up.
Like Section 221 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, and I'm finding like every clause around it, but not 221I. But it has to do with revoking visas, basically, as you would have imagined. But this is like initially United States immigration law from the 50s. So we've always been building on good policy from day one. The Bureau of Consular Affairs Visa Office has alerted the Department of Homeland Security's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, so everything we love about the government, DHS and ICE, which manages the Student Exchange Visitor Program and is responsible for removal proceedings. They may notify your designated school official about the revocation of your F1 visa. Remaining in the United States without a lawful immigration status can result in fines, detention, and/or deportation. It may also make you ineligible for a future U.S. visa. Please note that deportation can take place at a time that does not allow the person being deported to secure possessions or conclude affairs in the United States. This, again, is an email from the United States government to the people that they are subjecting to this. We might do this in the most inconvenient and cruel way possible. And you don't know if we will or not.
And they probably will.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, with what we've seen.
And maybe the most concerning part of all, persons being deported may be sent to countries other than their countries of origin.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like the mega prison in El Salvador.
Yeah. I mean, they just might disappear you to a prison in a country of their choice.
Which they have some sort of like private contract with. It's not subject to like U.S. law in terms of like torturing prisoners. It's even worse. Given the gravity of this situation, individuals whose visa was revoked may wish to demonstrate their intent to depart the United States using the CBP Home app.
Oh, an app?
There's an app where you can tell us that you're going to leave on your own, and then maybe we won't torture you.
Jesus
Is
Christ.
it in the Google Play Store?
The CBP Home app. Can just anyone download that, or do you?
Yeah,
need
can we get that?
As soon as you depart the United States, you must personally present your passport to the U.S. Embassy or consulate, which issued your visa, so your visa can be physically canceled. I assume they just put a big X on it.
I was thinking like giant scissors in front of you.
It is on the Apple Play Store or Apple, whatever, App Store.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
And they also have, I think they picked up and detained a student in Minnesota also, like yesterday maybe. So it's, could happen here at any time. It's not exactly local news, but it could be very soon. Not good. And since we were talking about the courts and defying judges, that leads me to a piece of much more local news. A Facebook post by Representative Skylar Wheeler.
Yes.
We know Skylar Wheeler?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's very young. He was, I think, the youngest ever elected state legislator a few years ago. He was, I believe, 23 when elected.
He's a Zoomer.
Yes, and he's...
They got Zoomers in the fucking House of Representatives now.
He's a kid, and he's a racist, hateful child.
Fuck them kids.
And he currently serves as the chair of the House Education Committee. They figured he's still in school. He's the most. He has the most
remembers
recent experience with school, so he's an obvious choice.
Yeah, he hates teachers the most.
Yeah,
yeah.
So the reason that he posted on Facebook is because the law that was passed and signed a couple years ago banning library books that depict sex acts has been blocked again by a federal court. All right. So the law would basically say you cannot have a book in a school library that has anything about sex in it.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest reason that it has been blocked again is because the language in the law is fairly broad.
Yeah.
And, like, you gotta have, you can have stuff in books that
it's kind of like
sex.
Kind of like a pretty like essential thing to like human nature.
Right.
Like it's kind of hard to completely erase that from any sorts of media, you know.
Yeah. So Representative Skylar Wheeler, when he learned of this news, he immediately went to Facebook, his favorite website, and he wrote,
he's way too young to be on Facebook. What the fuck?
That's kind of true. Yeah, he's a little young for Facebook.
But I guess that's how he connects with his constituents, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I think his base of support is probably a bit older than he is.
Yeah.
He wrote, "It is time to ignore these judges. There is no First Amendment right to trans the kids and force porn in their hands. Let me be clear, we will win on these issues, and I don't care what this judge has to say about it."
Okay. These kids these days.
They keep getting trans.
They're so riled up.
Yeah, they run into like a magical tome in the school library.
Yes, the power of literature.
Books can take you on a journey in your imagination. If you touch the spine of this book for more than 4 seconds, the gender shifts in unpredictable ways.
Did someone try to trans Skylar Wheeler or something?
Oh my gosh, maybe.
I wonder.
Because, like,
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
they're, they were in school more recently than any other person in the Iowa house.
What book do you think it was? Harry Potter?
Yeah, well, it could be. I don't know. I don't know if I read any, maybe Animorphs, because that's,
Oh, yeah.
there's some transitions in that.
I don't
Totally.
think the kids still
Yeah.
read that as much these days,
That's
though.
true, yeah.
If they faded from
I don't
popularity.
know. I mean, most of the books that were on that list were like basically like sex ed books, like, or I mean, some of it was like young adult fiction that had, like
a gay character. or
yeah, a
something.
gay character or like a little racy,
Sure.
characters might have made out or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, a
Maybe-
lot of it was just like basically like personal development, like basic ass books, like had like line drawings of
Right.
like, I don't know, nothing that any normal person would ever care about.
Human anatomy and human
Yeah,
functions.
right.
Yeah.
So I know I had a slightly different childhood being raised as a girl. Do you guys remember the American Girl book about like your bodies with all the line drawings? Because that's what I'm picturing when you're talking about these.
I
do
would not have
not.
read that.
Okay.
I knew what American Girl was, but
I do know what
Didn't read
American
any
Girl
books.
was.
It's kind of, well, I would say infamous. It was a fine book, but
I read
a lot
Are You-
of us ladies know about it.
I read Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was banger.
Yeah.
Wait, was that Judy Blume or was that the other
I think
one?
it was Judy Blume.
There's like
don't
there's like
remember.
another author who's not Judy Blume, but
It might
I kind of
be-
conflate them.
It might be.
Yeah, I actually
different
think you're
author.
right. I don't think it's Judy Blume.
But I read a bunch of those too. That was kind of how I learned about.
No, it's Judy Blume.
That's Judy Blume.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry,
Who's
Judy.
who's the other one?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I read a lot of those, and that's kind of how I matured as a 9-year-old. I learned about the adult world through the eyes of Judy Blume.
Yeah.
I think it was good. I think it's probably a fairly safe way to learn about difficult issues.
No, I definitely also remember getting, like, I think my mom might have even picked it out for me, but like I remember getting a book from the Cedar Rapids Public Library that was like a sex education book, and I definitely did have like line drawings of like genitalia, just like pretty like very
Yeah.
clinical, like educational, like obviously
Yeah.
like not intended to arouse anyone. Like it's very ridiculous to
Not intended to trans the kids.
no, not trying
Right,
to
right,
trans
right.
any kids whatsoever.
Your body might look like one of these.
Yeah, your body might change in ways,
But you may feel a strong
But-
desire
yeah,
to not have these parts and have different parts. And you should embrace those desires. That's what the book says.
yeah.
Even if you don't think you have those desires, you should pretend you do.
Try it for a bit. You might like it.
There's so many books in the school libraries telling these kids that they can, not only can they be anything they want to be, but they should be things that they don't even think about. They
Yeah.
should be something else.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. I don't know what's going on in the minds of these freaks.
Yeah.
Like, books are not trying to trans your kids. They're trying to create an atmosphere of better understanding of the broad spectrum of human experience.
Yeah.
And if more people are accepting, then we live in a world with less conflict and repression and suppression, and that's bad.
You said it, brother.
Preach.
Sorry, I just wanted to get the details here. I'm reading from a Siouxland Proud. This is where Skylar Wheeler first heard
Oh
about.
yeah. Aren't they from Sioux City or something like that? I
Somewhere
might be
over
wrong.
there.
Yeah, somewhere out west.
I like how you said they.
Yeah, you
For
keep
Skylar.
saying they for Skylar.
Oh, he is a dude, but I think it's good to use a neutral pronoun.
I just
for
think I just prefer to use neutral pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
I don't know for sure. So
Yeah. I think it's good. I think we should exclusively refer to Skylar Wheeler as they them. Iowa cannot, for now, continue to enforce part of its book ban law, giving major publishers that sued the state the second temporary reprieve they requested.
so that's what it's about. It's about
the
book
dastardly
sales.
young adult authors.
Yeah.
They're trying to kill archive.org and they're trying to kill
Yeah.
our righteous book ban laws in the state of Iowa. U.S. District Judge Stephen Locker is the one who blocked this temporarily. the part of the law that prohibits school libraries and classrooms from carrying books that depict sex acts. Okay, so this is the same judge who blocked this like a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
That his initial blocking was overturned in August by the U.S. 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. And now I guess somehow it came before him again, and he's blocking it again.
Jesus.
We have a legal system that makes a lot of sense.
That's why they call them circuits, you know? Because it's just a circle, just going around a circle.
Okay, the appellate court told the lower court that it failed to apply the correct analysis in determining whether to temporarily block the law. In his decision on Tuesday, Locker stated that the unconstitutional applications of the book restrictions far exceed the constitutional applications under both legal standards the court believes are applicable. Both legal standards. Which are... this is a very quality news piece here. Yeah, okay. The argument is that the law is overly broad and age indifferent, reaching far beyond obscenity to prohibit any book with any description of a sex act for any age. That's... Yeah, come on.
Okay, so the circuit court told the judge, you didn't do your homework really well. Go back and do it again. He did it again. He said, I got the same result, but here's better.
Yeah.
Here's
show
better work.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess so. But yeah, it's not acceptable to like 17-year-olds should probably be allowed to know what a penis is.
Yeah.
Well,
they're
also,
probably going to be using their penises by that point.
So this is schools. Does this go into colleges as well? Or
I think it's K-12.
Yeah.
Okay, K-12.
Yeah.
I feel like some people are like 18 when they're in 12th grade.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, like I said, they're going to be using their genitals for things other than.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get married in some states as a teenager, I don't see why you can't read a Judy Blume book.
Right. I think that your school library should probably...
Yeah, that's right. You can legally have sex.
Yeah, you can.
Before you can read about it in a book.
Oh, actually, that's so... Well, in a public school library book. So you just have to buy it yourself if you want to read about it.
Right. But, school is the place you're supposed to be going every day, where the books are all there, If they're taking away one potential resource for a kid to be able to learn about the whole process.
And it's a resource that typically parents can't constantly be watching what you're reading.
Right.
I think that's a big part of it is, your parents can control what books you buy probably.
Almost like that's why these like very freakish people are upset about it.
Yeah.
Because they can't control what their kids are being exposed to.
Yeah,
which is also just an absurd concept in like 2025 anyway. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be a kid now, but like the internet shit is like, I mean, like when we were younger, it was like, that was like a thing you could do, but like not, most people weren't like online the way that they are now. And now it's like everyone is in the same fucking...
The things I saw on the internet
all day.
At the age of 14, they can't. The kids have to be able to still find those things.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
I'm sure that, our experience pales in comparison
to
like,
what even if you are like super controlling of your kid, like they're going to have friends whose parents were not, doing the same things.
Did you ever on a sleepover go... like get on the computer with your friend and go check out the weird shit they'd found?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Or like you go in a chat room and like pretend to be an adult talking to people.
Yeah, for sure.
Flirt with older people. We've all been there.
Yeah. Hopefully those other older people were also children.
We were all three kids in a trench coat talking to each other.
Yep. Oh, what a world we live in. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of like the whole, or it's a big component to the whole effort to like clamp down on what schools are allowed to do, because it's the most time a kid is going to spend away from their controlling, conservative, weirdo parents, and so they're allowed to like be a different person during this chunk of the day than they are when they're
figure out who they are as a
person.
Yeah. And so we have to make sure the school's not allowed to use whatever pronouns the kid says they want. We have to make sure that they don't get to look at any books. Make sure that they don't get to go into certain rooms. There's even that Norland Momsen bill to put cameras in all the classrooms. Yeah. So
in all the what rooms?
All the classrooms.
But that was for
What?
school shootings. That wasn't. I don't think it was about the content of the class. It was just
No,
so
no,
that.
no.
Oh, was it?
I mean,
Maybe
my recollection is that there was an effort to have cameras installed in every classroom that parents could then tune into at any point
God.
during the school day with audio and stuff too. Like you could hear what the teacher is saying to the kids and stuff. Every classroom in the state is what was being proposed.
Yeah, that's such a funny fucking proposition. Like, do you think, like, I don't know, that they're not going to be able to, like, that's not feasible.
Well, and it's also
whatsoever.
It's also like
It's also insane.
Only the parents are going to look at this.
Yeah.
Not like, thousands of perverts worldwide getting immediate access to like a 24/7 live stream of children. Like, what are you doing, Norlin?
Oh no.
Do you really trust the state of Iowa to be able to build that kind of infrastructure?
No.
For
No, I do
anything?
not.
No. They're going to have all kinds of back doors and that shit.
Yeah. Here's a quick one. I just wanted to update the world, the rock hard world, on the current situation for Austin Goodman. He was the guy who got arrested in Dubuque a few weeks ago.
Yes.
You know about Austin?
I'm blanking on it.
Okay. He live streamed himself walking to a Dubuque City Council meeting. He was draped in an American flag. He was wearing a nice suit. He had duct tape over his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But there was really one thing that caused a problem, and it was the gun he was carrying, the loaded weapon that he brought into the building. That was the part that really tripped him up. So he was arrested on the spot, and a trial date has been set. I just want everyone to be prepared for the trial of the century. Austin Goodman. He was arrested for attempting to enter a Dubuque City Council meeting while carrying a loaded handgun. He will go to trial on November 18th. Mark your calendars, everyone. November 18th is the day we will find out if we still have civil rights in this country.
I feel like we might know before then.
I think maybe we're already finding out something.
Yeah.
But and maybe the answer is no, but...
Yeah, maybe.
Depends on who you are, I think.
Yeah.
This guy, I don't know. We'll see. Is he going to represent himself, do you think?
He is a perfect candidate for
I
self-representation.
feel like he's likely to represent himself.
Yes. That would be perfect.
I feel like if he's not representing himself, we're not going to have a trial. There's going to be some sort of plea. You know?
Well, yeah, that would be probably what a wise defender would do.
Yes. I'm not a lawyer, but if I was his lawyer.
I mean, there's people taking pleas when they shouldn't.
I don't know all the ins and outs of this case.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think they caught him dead to rights on this one.
Yeah. He's currently in the Dubuque County Jail.
I was about to ask if he was on bail.
I don't know. Like, are they going to hold him until November? That seems like such a long time.
Yeah, come on.
I feel like he doesn't have a history of issues, right?
Well, that's not entirely true.
No.
Police were already familiar with Goodman and were already investigating him for violating a no contact order. So there is that. I mean, I don't know his full history, but he's got some background.
November is a long time to sit in jail, though.
It really is a long time to sit in jail without a trial, before a trial. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he just couldn't.
We need to start a bail fund for this man.
I don't know if we need
Free
to do
Austin
that.
Goodman. All he did was carry a gun. Like, have you read the Constitution?
Yeah.
We're supposed to have guns. We're supposed to have guns at all times.
Metal detectors are unconstitutional.
Do you know what the phrase "shall not be infringed" means?
Yeah.
It's the only right in the Constitution that's phrased that way. Right?
Yeah.
Shall not be infringed. So that's the most important thing in there.
Wait, do you have the Constitution memorized?
Fuck no. In fact, that's the only part I remember.
Yeah.
Of course, it's the only part with that phrase then.
That's the part that is at the top of the hierarchy of rights given to us.
That's why it's number 2.
Yeah, it's number 2 because it's the most important.
And they added it in afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
It was an amendment,
it was so
right?
important that they temporarily
that's right.
forgot to put it in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about this Bleeding Heartland piece?
Sure. That's a funny one.
Yeah. It's not...
I was telling Anastasia about this earlier.
Yeah. We've talked about this guy on the show before, I think.
Maybe. I think
Or
we
maybe
might
it's
have
just
read
between
one of
us.
his articles, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, this is something it's kind of funny. And, we're kind of
sad, too.
well, yeah, as is everything. Like, it's we got to mind these laughs where we can. Things are pretty bad right now. But yeah, there was a piece an opinion piece published by Bleeding Heartland this week, friends of ours, by Rick Moraine, the former publisher and owner of the Jefferson Herald. And I think we've talked about him on the show before.
I feel like we've read one of his articles before.
He's a, how would I describe him? A liberal thought leader in the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
Is there like a
contributor to Bleeding Heartland? No, that's not fair. Bleeding Heartland does a lot of good stuff. Some stuff that I don't necessarily agree with.
They do a lot of good stuff, and then a lot of stuff like this.
They at least publish some dissenting views.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly... I'm sure there's a lot that Laura Bellin and I disagree with.
Yeah. Well, and then there's some stuff like this where it's like...
She does good work, I think.
Yeah. Well, then it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I would publish an article like this, but that's just because I have some kind of shame. Well, anyway, let's get into it.
There's some value in publishing like very stupid opinions like this one.
Yeah. Well,
letting the world read the thoughts of a guy like this.
I guess.
Because he's not the only one who thinks this way.
No, he doesn't. Well, I don't know. He's definitely in the minority on this one.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, not to be devil's advocate, but I do think there's like this liberal idea that if you just present all the ideas, people will read them and be like, that's a bad idea. So I think sometimes liberals are like, yeah, it's totally fine to uplift these things we don't agree with because people will read and they'll know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The best disinfectant is sunlight. That kind of idea. Yeah.
Like it's okay to platform them.
Democracy dies in darkness.
Yep.
Did they get rid of that since Jeff Bezos is gone on a tear?
I think they did like immediately after the election. If I remember right. I remember seeing someone post about that.
Oh man, it was so funny when they're like, "Oh yeah, we can get bought by a billionaire and maintain editorial independence." It's like,
totally.
Sure you can. Yep.
Yeah. The only way to maintain editorial independence is to like have like basically no money and a very small audience.
Right.
Yeah, be on the verge of going under at all moments.
Yeah.
Or just like run some like rinky-dink media operation.
Yeah.
Oh, like in a living room.
Rock Hard Caucus. Rockhardcock.us.
Look, we maintain our independence, and I like to think we're pretty consistent in our views and our advocacy.
Yeah.
We can't be bought at patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. All right, so here's some of Rick Moraine's piece, which people I think will find a lot to chew on here. It takes courage to stand for the right course of action. It takes more courage to do something about it. John F. Kennedy's 1956 book, Profiles in Courage, details the actions of 8 U.S. senators throughout history who did the right thing in specific instances, knowing nevertheless the bitter criticism and retaliation they would undergo. John F. Kennedy was writing books in the 50s?
I guess so, yeah.
Among the 8 was U.S. Senator James W. Grimes of Iowa, who was among 7 Republican senators who voted against convicting President Andrew Johnson in 1868 on his questionable impeachment charge approved by the Republican-controlled U.S. House. How do we feel about President Andrew Johnson here in the room?
I don't like any presidents.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a good standard to hold to.
Yeah.
My opinion would be
Andrew Johnson is one of the worst.
One of one as the worst.
Oh, really?
I would consider him to be our worst president ever.
Not even.
What's your number one reason why you hate him so much?
Okay, so he immediately follows Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After Lincoln gets, you know what happened to him. And so Johnson then is tasked with like the immediate aftermath of like, what happens after the Civil War now?
Mm-hmm.
How do we like continue having like this whole thing be one entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there were 2 kind of like schools of thought for Reconstruction, like the South needs to pay for its crimes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other ones like,
Yeah,
we gotta
we
shake
took
hands
so
and
much
make up.
from
There's a lot of
them.
economic
They lost some
stuff.
property.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Johnson, had Lincoln not been assassinated, I think Reconstruction would have been a more productive process. And I think the country we live in now would be significantly different. But because Johnson was overseeing Reconstruction, he basically gave every consolation to like the South.
Yeah.
The losers of the war basically got their way in like how the South was allowed to function following. Yeah. And that, to me, is like the major source of like pretty much every political issue in the country.
Yeah,
from
for sure.
Point.
Still reverberating, absolutely.
So, regardless of like what you think of the questionable impeachment charge, I think that there's no ethical argument against impeaching that guy. Mm-hmm. Johnson avoided ejection from the presidency by just one vote. Had any one of the 7 brave senators voted the other way, he would have been gone. Sometimes such courage takes place hidden from the public. Other times, as in the episodes Kennedy describes, it's very public, even sensational. If ever a time cried out for such courage, it's now. The one example we've heard so far is voting against impeaching the worst president we've ever had.
I feel like he could have found a better example.
Or just even one more.
Or a more timely example.
Sure, something maybe more recent, yeah.
Slightly more recent.
Yeah, like maybe, were there any Democrats who chose not to vote to impeach Trump?
Yeah.
And should we highlight their bravery in doing that? I don't think there were. And that's just such a sign of the sad times we live in.
Yeah, no one's brave.
Yeah, none of the opposition party was brave enough to do the right thing and vote against impeaching Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wealthy individuals and organizations contribute vast amounts of campaign money to candidates and incumbents, and thereby wield enormous influence over how those recipients speak, act, and vote. Okay, I feel like we're going in a different direction.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The 24-hour media megaphone allows party leaders to brutalize any member who dares oppose the official party line.
I don't...
It doesn't seem like they're doing that.
I don't think the Democrats do that.
No.
I mean, I do know the Republicans can put people in line pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But...
The party line in some cases being, we all need to vote to confirm Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
He's a reasonable guy.
Yeah.
He's not going to just revoke student visas over Facebook posts.
Yeah.
And the millions of base supporters of each party in these coarser times can make life uncomfortable, even dangerous, for a brave recalcitrant.
Someone got his thesaurus out.
Recalcitrant.
Recalcitrant. That's a good one.
That is a cool word. A person with an obstinately uncooperative attitude toward authority or discipline. Now, should we look up obstinately?
No.
No, we know what it means.
It's not easy these days to do the right thing. But a few in both parties have recently answered the call. Have you read this, Anastasia?
I've heard a little bit about it.
Did you tell her who the two people are?
I was having her guess which the two politicians were.
Yeah, what were your guesses?
Well, I didn't realize that the article was about Nationwide. So at first I was like, oh, it's Rob Sand because he it does not follow party line on a lot of things. And then I was like, oh, I refuse to guess. This is not a fun game.
All right, listeners, if you haven't read this, think in your mind of
one from each, like one senator from each party,
right? Like a U.S. senator who, have been a shining example of somebody doing the right thing despite pressure by the rest of their party to comply, toe the party line. 2 weeks ago, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York faced a choice between two difficult options for the Democratic Party.
Oh, what options?
Yeah, what options do they have? Just in a broader context, what are the two options facing the Democratic Party right now?
Cooperate?
Lay down and take
it. Cooperate or reconcile?
Two very different options, yes. The Republican-controlled House had already voted for a continuing resolution that would keep the government open through the end of the federal fiscal year on September 30th, maintaining most government spending at current levels. However, that course would allow President Donald Trump and his administration. Let's see, is Musk ever brought up in this piece?
I don't think so.
Weird. Oh no, he does bring him up later.
Okay.
But that seems to be like kind of a pressing concern there.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people are mad that Chuck Schumer voted for that.
Yeah.
Okay, it would allow...
his reasoning here is great.
It would allow Trump and his administration to continue their efforts to shrink government agencies that help
millions. It would
millions.
allow them to do what they're already doing anyway, regardless of any act of Congress.
Yeah. All but one House Democrat had voted against the resolution, in effect opting for a government shutdown.
Oh, no.
Wouldn't that be just a nightmare scenario? God forbid the government shut down for a couple days.
It's not a good thing for the government to shut down, but also it's like, I don't know, these people like act like there's no like symbolic meaning to anything. Like, it's like, yeah, I mean, they're the minority.
Because what do they have if not symbols?
Nothing. I know. Yeah. I mean, they're like the minority party, like, oh, like whatever. They can't like just pass whatever they want for Trump to veto or whatever. But it's like, yeah, there's like symbolic effects of, or, you know, like resisting like passing this
sort of
bill.
like a morale thing.
Yeah, or just like, I don't know, a lot of people are pretty pissed off right now. You might get them a little bit more on your side if you were to, you know, make a stand and say, we're not going to pass this bill.
Yeah, yeah.
Or continuing resolution, not a bill.
Isn't the point of avoiding the government shutdown not messing with people's income, their jobs, their benefits, what social security net we do have?
Yeah.
Isn't that all being fucked with already?
Right. Like, basically, either option, shit's going to get fucked up. And by the way, Social Security, I don't know if we're going to have that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, people are already not able to access their Social Security, like, information on whatever apps you use if you're receiving Social Security payments. But yeah, you know, government shutdown, like, not ideal, but, you know, hopefully kind of throws a wrench in the gears for a second.
Well, the other option is just voting for the bill that they wrote.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
you know, the budget that they wrote.
Right. And allowing them to continue completely unencumbered. Yeah.
And, you know, most Democrats were against that until Mr. Schumer.
Yeah. The March 14th deadline was fast approaching for a shutdown if Congress rejected the continuing resolution. Essential government services must remain open in a shutdown situation. That's what's really annoying. Is like if you have an essential job and the government shuts down, you just have to keep going to work without getting paid.
Yeah.
And you might not get back pay, I think. That's
bullshit.
Is what I've read.
Yeah.
A shutdown would empower the president to declare... Let me start that over. A shutdown would empower the president to declare which governmental employees would be essential.
Oh.
This is just so fucking
It seems
stupid.
like he kind of feels like he already has that authority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has been exercising it.
God damn.
It could result in very substantial federal layoffs. Well, God forbid we didn't do that. Then.
Yeah.
He's definitely hasn't just like jettisoned a bunch of union jobs like just yesterday.
Yeah.
Like hundreds of thousands of jobs. With a strong possibility that they would never return, even when the government reopened. The result could mean even more damage to the U.S. than from the continuing resolution.
It could.
Well, we took that gamble. It seems like we might have been fucked either way, buddy.
Yeah.
Most Democrats in both chambers of Congress, including former Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, urged Schumer to stand firm against the Republicans' continuing resolution and let the onus of a shutdown fall on Republicans, the party in power. That was the political thing to do.
Yeah.
He didn't do it.
Oh, my fucking
God forbid that a senator make a political decision.
Yeah. It's wild that Pelosi like publicly like came out against him too.
Right, yeah.
When Nancy Pelosi has more backbone than you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that she's like publicly disagreeing with who's ostensibly like the leader of the party. Right
Yeah,
now. Like
yeah.
really, isn't Schumer like the highest ranking Democrat in the country?
For sure.
Is that how that works in the Democrats?
I mean,
They're
I don't
like,
know.
you're the highest elected, so you're our king.
I mean, kind of.
That's how it works here.
Okay.
With
That's where I
Rob,
stand.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned this. I read this like not shortly before we started talking. I guess that my state senator is considering a run for U.S. Senate.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Who's that?
Zach Walz.
Oh, okay.
Who?
Yeah, Zach Walz.
Zach
Oh.
Walz. Of course. That makes sense. Now, is he going to win?
No.
No. It's already beat me to it.
I'm willing to bet on that one.
I'm willing
no.
to bet on that one too.
Yeah. I don't know if he will actually run. We'll see.
Yeah. I guess he has more name recognition than most.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
probably
he's got
like
something.
90% of the strategy there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I might as well.
I don't want to get too
If I lose,
sidetracked.
I mean, if you lose, it's like, what happens to you? Well, I guess, I don't know.
More name recognition.
Well, Abby Finkenauer got to be the U.S. Special Envoy for, what was it, like students or something? I don't know.
I
Whatever.
don't remember what it was. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, you can always fail upwards in the Democratic Party.
This is everyone knows this guy has higher aspirations and has for years. But I mean, his entire political career was like,
Yeah.
this is the intent.
Yeah.
I guess people can't hear me doing that.
Yeah.
Justin's pointing up. A line going straight up.
Okay, I don't want to get too sidetracked. We got to get back to Rick Moraine here,
Yeah.
liberal thought leader of Iowa. After careful consideration, Schumer supported the resolution to keep the government open and brought enough Senate Democrats with him. Speaking on the Senate floor a few hours before the key vote, Schumer said, referencing Elon Musk's Doge operation, a shutdown would allow Doge to shift into overdrive.
Are they in underdrive? I don't know how cars work.
Yeah, they're in, what, first gear?
Yeah.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk would be free to destroy vital government services at a much faster rate than they can right now and over a much broader field of destruction that they would render. Or that they would render. I'm not quite sure what that means. But basically what the point is, we've avoided that path now, clearly, right? It's a couple weeks later. Doge is still, it's a slow-paced machine.
Yeah.
It's not a broad field of destruction across the country, all government services in peril.
And there's really good checks and balances in play to prevent it from, getting too far.
Right, we got the courts.
Yeah, we got the courts.
Oh, yeah.
Which, top to bottom, every Republican politician is calling to ignore them.
They're calling to impeach them, in fact.
Yeah.
John Roberts was like, actually, there's other mechanisms in place for this. You shouldn't just impeach judges.
Right. Yeah, leave it to one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, we have the new President Jackson, who cares what the courts say? Stop me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't even matter. Should we read this next part? How much longer is this?
His second example.
His second example of a brave truth teller defying the will of their own party. That's all he says about Schumer right there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, when did this piece come out? It came out this week. So,
Yeah.
you've seen, at least a week and a half of the results.
Chuck Schumer's also been in the news recently for saying completely awful, horrible things about Israel-Palestine. I mean, you obviously know which
awful
side
things?
new awful things. You know
he
which
ever
side
stop?
of that issue
Yeah.
he's on.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was asked about the Mahmoud Khalil kidnapping.
Oh, yeah, and there's a paragraph where he's like, yeah, this guy's, he fucking hates Jews.
my God.
He loves
he was
terrorism.
they were asking him what, because he didn't break the law, obviously.
Right.
And what is the process for whatever? And he was talking about Colombia's policies. We'd have to look at Colombia's policies. It fucking
What?
matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just completely dodged the question, obviously, but
Yeah.
because he's I don't really know anything about this. I don't really sure you don't, buddy.
You don't know anything about it?
You don't know anything
You're
about
the
this.
senator where it happened.
Yeah, you fucking
Okay.
piece of shit.
This is one of those things when, at work, when people say, oh, I didn't see that or I didn't know, you look bad at your job
Right.
Yeah.
when you
Right.
don't know about certain things.
Right. Yeah.
And they do know. I mean, he does
He's
know.
fucking lying.
So I don't understand that when people lie about things they do know, that just makes them look bad at their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it would be totally crazy to say that about Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
That he's not great
I
at
think
this.
they've all kind of discovered that there's not very many consequences for lying,
Mhm.
though.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more apparent than ever.
Yeah. Okay, then about the Republican Party, back to Rick's words here. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky has often stated his opposition to American tariffs, one of Trump's hallmark policies. But he went further. Last fall, he introduced a bill. Last fall, of course, being before Trump was president.
Yeah.
The No Taxation Without Representation Act of 2024, which would require congressional approval for any tariff the president proposes. That was the status for tariffs before 1974. In that year, Congress abdicated its tariff power and left the president as the sole decision maker on tariffs. What a fucking blunder for the 1974 Congress. What a man. This country is so stupid. So yeah, I mean, I feel like the Rand Paul example kind of like,
yeah, he's a libertarian. Like, he doesn't like taxes. Like, oh, it's so brave of him.
Yeah, in comparison to the Schumer
brave.
thing,
Also, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like a lot of. I don't know if that many people are really in support of the tariffs.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's people who have ideological reasons. America first and all that garbage. But like the business people who know what's good for them, for the most part, are against it. And I'm sure I guess there's a lot of people saying privately probably that it's like they're probably worried about their seats, if the economy does really crash.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if we need to give Rand Paul too much credit for speaking up about it.
Well, yeah, and Rick even says here that Rand Paul has been unable to find any other GOP members of Congress willing to publicly co-sponsor his bill.
Oh.
So Chuck, he sort of rolls over and votes for the continuing resolution, and it passes. His example from the other side is like one guy who can't do anything.
Yeah.
He can't.
So his party's in power and he still can't get it done.
Right. Yeah. Let me see if there's anything good here. I don't think I read this.
No,
the
Chuck
before.
Schumer part is definitely more interesting than the Rand Paul. I kind of forgot Rand Paul is even in Congress anymore.
He's an easy one to forget.
I forgot he was a guy still.
He doesn't have much of a role.
Yeah.
He's living in the shadow of his violent neighbor, ever since he got his ass kicked by his neighbor.
That's true.
He lost a lot of his swag.
He's scared to go outside now. Damn. His neighbor. Man, that guy.
Those were some good articles to read back in the day. I forgot about that.
Should give him an award.
I'll read the end of Rick's piece. On the local scene, there is less opportunity for office holders in Greene County to show courage. So super local. Like Rick's own county.
Extremely local. Hi, shout out Greene County.
Okay. There's less opportunity for office holders in Greene County to show courage because generally it's not an issue.
What's not an issue?
I don't know. Courage.
Oh, okay.
Most actions by the county supervisors, school boards, and city councils here generate little controversy, as the right courses of action are usually obvious to all and rarely opposed on those bodies. Well, okay. I mean, that is not to say there is no courage among local public service personnel. Law enforcement officers.
Oh, God.
Oh my
firefighters.
God.
Yeah.
Emergency medical staffs and other government employees here have often demonstrated bravery when the need arises. Is that really comparable to like Chuck Schumer?
No.
I think he's just looking for an off-ramp for this piece.
Yeah.
But political courage is of a different sort. It's called for when doing the right thing demands action counter to the wishes of the office holders, party leaders, funders, supporters, and other powerful entities. Elected officials willing to buck their party's position in specific situations, like Chuck Schumer and Rand Paul, step forward much too rarely.
Yeah.
To me, that's not exactly like the pinnacle of courage.
No, I don't think so.
2025 America.
I don't think the funders probably had too much of a problem with what Chuck Schumer did.
Voting a certain way. I mean, it's a binary choice, and he chose one of them. Is he really like going above and beyond here?
The piece feels like a C. Like he would have gotten a C in high school for this.
Sure.
Like the argument isn't very good.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten good examples. He hasn't thought through that well.
I'm sure he had a strict deadline to meet.
Yeah. Right.
And clearly didn't have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, real courage right now is like still being willing to post on Facebook about Israel.
Yeah, for sure. literally, yes, that is a braver act than what Chuck Schumer did.
Yeah. There's so many countless examples of courage that are much more meaningful. Just like, just go outside. Just look at people who are willing to put themselves out there against a force that is clearly willing to just grab them with a claw machine and toss them into the ocean. That people are still willing to protest in any way at all is pretty fucking brave. And it's a lot braver than Chuck Schumer and Rand Paul.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rick. I had to.
Yeah.
I had to twist your words into something a little bit more meaningful to me.
Yes. You're gonna start writing op-eds for Bleeding Heartland?
I'm sure I could.
You could. Yeah,
probably.
I don't know
really
if
like,
I could.
I don't really like writing. Though.
I don't think.
Why not?
I think.
Well, she doesn't even let him have an account to comment on posts on her website.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's because I made the mistake of putting it Evan from Rock Hard Caucus.
No. Well, you did put a dick joke in it. That's...
Yeah. Well, I don't know. She might have been right for that one, you know. Well, I mean, I was going to comment because there was someone named Moderate Dem who was posting about how they should turn Gaza into a parking lot. Like, very moderate Dem position to have.
I kind of.
So, like, this is my problem with the Bleeding Heartland. Is like, why are you giving a platform to this shit?
Yeah.
Wait. So Moderate Dem can make these comments, but you can't have an account.
Right.
To
Well, that was
respond
kind
to
of
them?
what that pissed me off because it's like there's zero reason to allow that comment to stay up.
Yeah.
Like, unless you are endorsing it, basically. Like, I mean, it's like, it's not like, I don't know, it's not a call to action per se, but it's like, it's not the kind of thing that you want on your website.
Totally. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I would say that too of anyone who was like, talking about like turning Israel into a parking lot, I guess. But like,
I mean, you mean Palestine?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah. And to be fair, we haven't, asked Laura directly why you don't have an account when you
that's fine.
signed up for one.
That's fine.
So I don't know if it just fell through the cracks or what.
I don't care. I don't have that
Laura,
much
if
interest.
you're listening, Evan's really upset that he can't post comments on
If I were to
Bleeding
run
Heartland.
a news media outlet, I would probably have a little higher standards for what submissions I allow.
Sure. Well, okay, that's the podcast for today. It's not a good time to be a freelance political commentator right now. It's not a good time to be anyone right now. I don't think. Mm-hmm. Before we get into plugging stuff, you want to plug anything?
Oh, actually, yeah. Not for me though. It's not mine. Friend of the pod. They've been on the pod. Ale has some new music. The Theys and the Thems.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's them.
Yes.
I didn't know Ale was in that band. Okay. I've seen some stuff about it.
I think the band is currently mostly Ale.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was
honestly legitimately good on Spotify, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Nice.
And thanks for telling me that because I had no idea who that was. Okay. We've been consistently plugging the Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund at the end of every show. We should probably just do that again.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund. The state is revoking their civil rights, so you might as well give them some money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make up for it, but they'll certainly need money in the coming days and weeks and months and years. Speaking of people who need money, I am playing a fundraiser show at Public Space One's Close House on April 12th. This is a fundraiser for the Ahmed family. There's a Sudanese family. They have relatives who were displaced from Sudan and are now refugees in Egypt. They're trying to raise money to bring them over here, where the rest of them are, here in Iowa. April 12th. I'll be playing a solo set. You'll also hear from Peak Dead, Betho, Young Rascal, and Tadiza, all artists that I respect greatly. April 12th, Close House. I think we can talk about this for real now.
I thought we did last week.
We kind of did last week, but we can get a little bit more into details.
Specifics. Yeah.
May 7th. This is not as far away as it seems. May 7th, coming up soon. We will be hosting a screening. By we, I mean Rock Hard Caucus, me and Evan.
Yes.
We're hosting a screening at Film Scene in Iowa City, in the Chauncey building. That big glass eyesore.
I don't think I've ever been there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Maybe I have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to find out.
Yeah. But we're hosting a screening, co-hosting it. Well, kind of. I mean, we're the ones who are going to be there. But we're presenting 3 short film things from Means TV, including Out of Office, which was directed by Will Roberts, who is a director living in Cedar Rapids. We've had him on the show before talking about Out of Office. Now we're going to let people actually watch it with us in a public setting. May 7th.
Yeah, looking
It'll
forward
be
to
fun.
it. Yeah, first live event for Rock Hard Caucus.
We've been doing the podcast since 2019, never did a live show. And now finally, Means TV has prodded us into doing one.
It's pay what you can. All proceeds go to Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund.
Yes.
And by that we mean all.
Yes, all. Any money that you spend to get into this screening will go to the Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund. As I was saying a minute ago, they need the money.
Are tickets on sale?
No.
I believe, shouldn't it be posted like pretty soon?
It should be, if you go to icfilmscene.org, the event should be on their website soon. I don't even know if you can like reserve a seat ahead of time.
It might be at the door.
Yeah, since it's a pay what you can thing, I'm not entirely sure how that works. So maybe for next week, I'll figure out the details on that.
We'll just slowly leak more details.
Every week we'll understand the upcoming event
month
a little
away.
more.
Keep them waiting on those details.
Yeah, but May 7th, Evan and I will sort of awkwardly talk for a
it's
few
gonna
minutes
be
before.
awkward. It's cool.
Then there's like an hour of film stuff.
We'll prepare something.
Yeah.
It'll probably be mostly
We're going to
off
write
the
some
cuff.
sketches.
Yeah.
It'll be like a Saturday Night
We're going to have
Live
audience
type of thing.
interaction. We're going to have people come up on stage. We're going to hypnotize them.
I was going to be there, but that doesn't.
No,
that
I'm
doesn't
sorry. I'm
sound good.
joking. We're not going to do any of that.
We're going to have elaborate costumes and
Oh
set
yeah.
pieces.
Oh.
I'm going to be up on like wires.
Yeah.
I'm going to fly over the audience.
Like the Spider-Man musical?
Yes, it's going to be just like that. I'm going to injure myself.
Yeah, you're going to like
During rehearsals?
suffer a spinal injury.
Yeah. I'll injure myself during rehearsals. Then they'll just, I can't do it during the show. I'll just be in a wheelchair, you know?
Yeah. But you can tell us about it.
Yeah. And then a few days after that, I'm playing a show at Hell, which is a house venue here in town.
Hell yeah.
Hell, yes.
Hell yes.
Hell. May 10th. D. Jean-Baptiste from Chicago will be coming through, and I will be supporting them, and Denny Richards, another local, will also be playing May 10th at Hell. If you don't know where Hell is, I will tell you. But privately, not on the podcast. All right, well, that's it. Call us at 319-849-8733 if you have any thoughts on any of the dark and ominous subjects that have weighed heavily on all of our hearts for the past, well, for our whole lives. Everything has always sucked.
Yep.
Always?
Well, since we've been alive, I think so.
Oh.
Pretty much.
It's getting worse, of course, but
Okay.
you know, we've always been living under capitalism, right?
This is true. You're very right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
as things get more and more crises pile up on top of each other, there's more potential for something else to happen later, right?
The contradictions are heightening.
That's right. We're going to close out with some local music. If you would like your music to be on the show, please go to rockhardcock.us. There's a link near the top to submit your own music. But this week, we're going to close out with something by local band Fear Boner.
Nice.
Two local hardcore bands, Burger and Fear Boner, are releasing a split tape, in a couple weeks. And this is something from that. You can find it for yourself at ParadiseICWC.bandcamp.com. You can find the whole thing there. ICWC is Iowa City World City.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll be all from us. Thank you, Fear Boner, for closing us out. Thank you, Evan and Anastasia, for coming over and doing a podcast.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.